Hey, this is going to be awfully ambitious. I won't say how it's going to wind up. All I know is I'm going to knock out. Oh boy, good start. AEW's All Out Red Carpet Special Part 1, which was on their YouTube channel, AEW's YouTube channel at 5 Eastern Standard Time. The Countdown to All Out, which was on TNT, which was an hour long from 5:30 to 6:30. The AEW All Out Red Carpet Part 2, which went from 6:30 till, that went until 7. So 5, All Out on TNT went from 5:30 to 6:30, and then the AEW All Out Red Carpet went from 6:30 to 7, and then the AEW All Out Buy-In went from 7 to 8, and then AEW's All Out, which went from 8 until almost midnight. Yeah, because I'm recording this at 11:53. Holy crap, that was a lot of wrestling. But I really wanted to give you the whole sense of what AEW is doing. Because, in a sense, they're doing something unique. Very unique. They are a non-WWE product that is having the promotion of a big show and the pregame of a big show happen on 3 different forums. Their sister station TNT, or their partner station, had an hour of promos, basically. And then their YouTube channel had 1, 2, 3 different things as well. And then they were on pay-per-view. That's a big deal, folks. I think people are not realizing what a big deal, what a big thing AEW is pulling off. The AEW All Out Red Carpet Special, which appeared at 5 o'clock on their YouTube channel, hosted by Tony and Dasha. They set us up for the rest of the night. They told us at 5:30 we're going to have the countdown All Out on TNT. At 6:30 they're going to have part 2 of the Red Carpet on YouTube. At 7 they're going to have the buy-in, all out buy-in show on YouTube, and where they're going to have a couple of wrestling matches. Originally, the tooth and nail match between Big Swole and Britt Baker was supposed to be on that show, but they decided to move that to the pay-per-view because it was pay-per-view worthy, which, just judging from the build alone, I would say it most definitely was. Here is whenever I say basically the card is posted, what I'm going to mean is they kept playing this video throughout the night that had the rundown, which is John Moxley against MJF for the AEW World Title, Chris Jericho against Orange Cassidy for the Mimosa Mayhem match, the 21 Casino Battle Royal, Hikaru Shida, the AEW Women's Champion, defending her title against the NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page against FTR for the tag team titles. The Young Bucks against the Jurassic Express, the 2 members that are threatening anyway. Britt Baker against Big Swole in a tooth and nail match. And then 4 members of the Dark Order, notably the 2 really good tag team ones, and of course the TNT champion. Holy moly. Sorry, it's late. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana, who's kind of like a friend of the Dark Order, against the Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky. And then Matt Hardy versus Guevara in a Broken Rules match. We show a clip package for that. I made little notes, like how many people were watching stuff, and at this point, 12,000 people were watching, which isn't a ton, of course, but it's also, these people are all likely getting All Out. I'll be curious to see what the numbers they draw with such massive promotion they've been doing. Tony and Dasha are there talking to Matt Hardy, and then they cut to if they don't say anything incredibly notable, I'm just going to go over it quickly. Alex Abrahanza, is talking to the Dark Order, who are all there except for Brody Lee, strangely enough. Whatever Anna Jay was wearing, she should have worn something more red carpet worthy. Though, interestingly enough, they keep cutting outside for the quote-unquote red carpet, but they have yet to show the red carpet. We see it later on, but again, that's an error. You got to show that you've actually got a red carpet for your red carpet event. The Dark Order is complaining about the lack of fanfare when they arrived. And then they give some Dark Order Kool-Aid, apparently, to Alex, who's thirsty. Strange. Tony and Dasha are there with Brandy. She calls Tony Anthony, which I think is kind of a nice, like, snooty touch. And then she says she's going to get revenge on Anna Jay. She also puts over nicely, quickly in a promo, good stuff about QT and Dustin and Scorpio. And yeah, they got a little package about Sheeta versus Thunder Rosa, which we'll see at least a couple more times tonight. Alex is out there with Thunder Rosa. They show a different Thunder Rosa and Sheeta package. And now we finally see the red carpet. Yay! I noticed they get the viewers closer to 17,000 at this point. Good. And now Alex is with MJF with Wardlow. And that more or less takes us to the end of this red carpet special. They're showing a bunch of transitional images that are really, really cool. And I realized that it's also the beginning of the countdown to All Out on TNT. So I switch over there and I get to see that package again. It's there's stuff about Orange Cassidy and Jericho, clips of that. The MJF childhood pics are really, really great. Sort of setting up this notion that he's always had kind of an easy life, but that it's always been his dream to be a champion at the same time. Kind of cool story there. I really liked it. I really like those childhood pics of MJF. They're very different than the normal thing that you see. That whatever that music is that they use for the back of the promo ads for All Out, let me tell you, after hearing it off and on for 7 hours, my God, was I tired of it. And the red and black sort of color scheme of everything really made my eyes blur after. But again, what psychopath is going to watch all of this? Just me, baby. Just me. This countdown to All Out on TNT, they highlight FTR against Omega Page, Thunder Rosa against Sheeta, Mimosa Mayhem match, MJF and Moxley. Cool. MJF promo. It's an original promo, so it's cool. So it's already separating itself from the other shows. He cares. He cares. JR and Tony talking about MJF in the midst of this for this clip package is really good. Moxley has a little bit to say. And then they start putting over the next thing, which is talking about Hangman and Page against FTR. They talk about how this is the best tag team division in the modern era. I think that's a little stronger argument than it's the best tag team division of all time in wrestling, which they were saying before. I think in the modern era, you can make an argument for that, certainly. Hangman and Page, they show some stuff about FTR, some just stuff about Jericho and Cassidy, and they show the MJF All Out promo that's been playing for a few weeks during Dark and things like that. And I see during the commercial break, and then I realize, oh yeah, we're on TNT where they'll have actual commercial breaks. This is like a real show. That they're going to be the lead-in to an NBA game, that this countdown All Out. So it's nice. They had like an hour to fill, so they're like, hey, let's help you promote your pay-per-view. Very kind. Again, they have a good working relationship with TNT, obviously. We're promoting Orange Cassidy and Jericho. They're going to talk about FTR. They're going to look at the Dark Order. We get a little more about MJF and Jon Moxley, and then we get a nice little voiceover from NWA President Billy Corgan about Thunder Rosa. We go to commercial again. When we come back, there's the MJF All Out commercial again. We get a little package of Thunder Rosa versus Sheeta, which is one of my favorites. It didn't really stand out because, again, they're promoting quote-unquote bigger matches. But it's just so nice, and it just has a really like a big fight feel for the women's title. I certainly hope, I write in my notes here, I hope Sheeta can keep up with Thunder Rosa. I guess we'll see if that's the case or not. MJF, of course, claiming we deserve better than Moxley, which is the premise of their match. Still to come, they say they're going to talk about Omega and Page and FTR, more from MJF, Dark Order versus Natural Nightmares, Cordona and Scorpio Sky, and MJF All Out. You can see the things that they're pushing, they tend to push more. Obviously, a tactic to get us to get the pay-per-view. When you have a legitimate pay-per-view, I saw somebody complaining recently. They're like, well, but the WWE, I mean, All Out's going to be too long. Like, the WWE has learned to keep their pay-per-view short, but they don't have pay-per-views. They just have big events that happen on the network. They're not really true pay-per-views anymore. I get wanting to over-deliver. We get a package on Brody Lee in the Dark Order that's really good. We get that really great QT promo where he puts everybody on his team over. That was a really great promo by QT, and they found really clever and good ways to use it in packages. Again, AEW very quietly has become the group that does really great packages for their wrestling, on par with WWE stuff. And again, people can love or hate whatever they want, but if you deny the truth, that's just silly to me. Obviously, I love AEW. I really like it. But that's not going to hold me back from saying things. Certain things happen in the pay-per-view, for example, that I just have to talk about that are decidedly not positive. We go to commercial. We come back. We get the package on Omega and Page against FTR. Really good. They highlight the stuff that happened in Tag Team Appreciation when FTR pile drove Ricky Morton and that all went to crap. And that's great. We're going to talk about MJF and Moxley. We go to commercial. Jericho all-in promo that we've seen quite a bit. And then we get a quick promo for Aubrey Edwards, the referee, and Tony Schiavone hosting the AEW podcast. Strangely, the only time it's mentioned in all of this promotion. But they did mention it here on TNT. MJF Moxley package, and we are done. And we're going to go back to YouTube at 6:30 for the AEW All Out Red Carpet Part 2, which is going to be about 30 minutes long. Get the MJF All Out promo. Not a lot of original stuff here, but they did have some original stuff, which is why I'm going to talk about it. They go over the whole card again with that same video package. Tony and Dasha are hosting this. Then we go out to Alex Abrahantes, and he's talking to Kenny Omega. Not a great promo, not a great look for Kenny Omega, but he is not the worst. That's coming. All Out Jericho promo. Here we go. And then we got Alex out there with Vicky Guerrero and Nyla, and she's yelling, and Nyla's saying, reminding everybody that she won the first All Out Battle Royal. Oh, I did. Oh, yeah. That's right. And we got Sheeta. And we got Sasha and Tony talking to Shaul Guerrero, which is a cool thing. Shaul was the ring announcer for the Women's Tag Team Cup, which, again, we haven't heard hide nor hair of, really. Man, they really need to promote that more. We get the Dark Order versus Natural Nightmares, Matt Cordona, and Scorpio Sky clip package. We got Alex outside, Alex Abrahantes, with Tully and FTR. Tully cuts a pretty good promo, and I think, okay, good, FTR is not going to talk because they can be hit and miss. But Cash does talk, and it's terrible. It's the worst talking segment of the entire 7 hours tonight. It's so terrible. He said, and if you lose, remember you lost to a couple dickhead hillbillies, which just stops the show cold. It's so out of place. It goes against the story that they told. It was fucking awful. Awful, awful. Trust me. And then we get Alex out there with Moxley. It pulls up in his great car. Ooh, badass car he has. And he just brushes past him. Then they go over the card again. And that's our 30 minutes of AEW's All Out Red Carpet Part 2 on YouTube. And then they have this countdown. So I think, okay, they're going to go into AEW All Out Buy-In on YouTube. Nope, the count out ends and then it just stops dead. So then I have to go find the next video. Weird way to do it, but whatever. I adapted, I overcame. We get the card rundown again, and we can hear the crowd that's there, the live crowd, which is really, really cool, by the way. MJF gives us a new promo, which is really good. So MJF has spoken quite a bit in different forms. We look at the participants for the Battle Royal, and each one of them cuts a little promo. I really like that. I think it's a smart way because this is their last-ditch effort to get fence sitters to buy it. So they're really making a big deal now about the Battle Royal, where they've been pushing almost all the other matches, right? We got Christopher Daniels, Santana and Ortiz say a little thing, Lance Archer and Jake Roberts, Frankie Kazarian. We have a little segment of Darby Allin, and then we're informed that there's going to be a wild card entrance. Oh, that's good. Another reason to possibly get somebody to buy it. They explain the rules of the Mimosa match, and I'm like, oh, good. Finally some new info going on this buy it. But it makes sense. They're trying to get people to buy it here. You have to be totally submerged in the Mimosa. Jericho clip package, the MJF All Out promo. And then I realized, oh yeah, we're on YouTube. They're not going to break for commercials except for themselves. We get a nice clip package about FTR. We get a commercial for AEW heels. And then we come back with more people in the Battle Royal. Eddie Kingston and his group of guys cut a promo, really good. Tully and Sean Spears. Tully makes a half-hearted case that Sean Spears is going to win this thing. I don't think anyone in their right mind thinks he's going to. Jake Hager is there. Rock hard Jake Hager, which is uncomfortable, but it's whatever. Team Taz, best friends. And then they make predictions. Dasha says she thinks Trent's going to win, meaning she doesn't know shit. And Tony says Brian Cage, since he won the ladder thing at All In. Makes sense. And they announce our matches we're going to get. Serpentico, hey, against Joey Janela. I assume this is to give Joey Janela his win back after Jericho completely wiped him out. And then 2 members of the Dark Order against Private Party. Mox is now willing to cut a promo, and so now he's standing next to that badass car and cuts a really good promo. Mox, again, I still says that he cuts a really great promo. And then we get Excalibur and Tony in the commentary booth, and now this begins to feel very real. Serpentico with Luther against Joey Janela with Sunny Kiss. The match is what it is. It's there to put Joey Janela back on the winning streak, or the winning ways, and he does so with a top rope elbow. Match number 2, it's Dark Order 3 and 4, Silver and Reynolds against Private Party. Private Party, they keep the match to a dull roar enough that Private Party, there are no mistakes in this one, at least no huge ones, and they win with the gin and juice. Then we run down the card again, and we're going to start the event. Woo, woo, woo! So think about that. You had an hour-long show on TNT. You had a total of, an hour and a half of stuff on YouTube. And now you've got AEW All Out. JR gets announced to the booth, so he's going to join Excalibur and Tony. They run down the card again. They got a lot of use out of that thing, let me tell you. And then we got a Rolls Royce pulling up. What? It's Big Swole and referee Mike Posey. Yay, Mike. And they've shown up. They've shown up at Britt Baker's dentist's office. Here we go. Cinematic match. Please don't suck. I will say overall, my impressions of this match, it didn't completely suck because they just kind of hit their spots, did their thing, told a weird little story with some of the dental equipment, and got out, which is exactly what this match needed to be. Rebel is there at the desk trying to pass herself off. Of course, Big Swole gets a hold of the clipboard and decks her with it. Not very hard, though. She should have powed her with it. I used to take a clipboard spot from my executive level administrative assistant, Miss Stiletto. That was a regular thing we would do, where I'd hold somebody and she would miss and crack that clipboard over my head. It's very easy. With a small cut, you can get that thing to break and go flying, and it doesn't hurt at all, and it looks and sounds great. Just sorry. Big Swole's looking throughout the thing, and she opens a drawer, and there's a bunch of chattering teeth in there. Ridiculous. And then Britt Baker jumps her. Britt Baker looks great here, just in terms of physical, wow, she looks really, really great. Big Swole also looks good in the gear that she chose. She hits her with a diploma, so we get some glass breakage. Swole fights out as she's going to drill her teeth forcibly. She's got the pan, and she's decking everybody with the pan, and she decks Reba with the pan. They fight their way outside. They go to the top of Britt Baker's cart, and Damn, Britt Baker hits a DDT on the top of that cart. Looks good. Reba eventually gets thrown in the dumpster by Big Swole. But Reba manages in the dumpster to get a crutch to Britt Baker, which is a nice touch. So Britt Baker gets the advantage and runs inside. She runs inside to get Big Swole to chase her, but then she cuts her off and then hits a fisherman buster breaker, which is like we grab them like a fisherman suplex, but then you swing them into a neck breaker. She does that on the floor. It's probably the biggest move we've seen or will see in this match. Eventually they fight. Britt Baker's gonna hit her with the Novocaine and the needle, but it hits her in their own leg, so her leg's dead. So they put over that story where she can't get away from Big Swole. Big Swole bashes her with another diploma and then puts the nitrous oxide on her and puts her out, and the referee stops it. So your winner, Big Swole. Match number 2, Jurassic Express, meaning Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, with Marco Stunt still hobbling around due to injuries suffered against Jake Hager, I believe, against the Young Bucks. It's a good, solid match. Sometimes Luchasaurus stuff looks kind of sloppy or not as tight as it could. Not in this match. Really, really good stuff. Very good Young Bucks match. Commentators are talking about the Battle Royal for sure. The Young Bucks win with an aggressive attitude. My favorite spot, when one of them kicked the crutch out from Marco Stunt and then super kicked him, though Marco Stunt started it because he interfered in the match earlier. All right, so the idea is we're going to have 4 groups of 5 based on suits that they picked out of a deck of cards. And then whoever picked the Joker is going to come in after that. So each group is going to come in, and then there's going to be 3 minutes of fight in, and then the next group comes in. So the first group, and Taz has joined them on commentary since 2 of his guys are in this. Trent, the pick of Dasha, is first. Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, Blade of Butcher and Blade, and Ray Phoenix. Nothing of note happens here. They brawl, 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 brawl. I don't think anybody goes out. Though Christopher Daniels went out, and I didn't even notice when it happened. So I assume it happened once the ring piled up, and I just missed it. Frankie Kazarian, Will Hobbs, interesting choice. And they really put Will Hobbs over very effectively. Chuck Taylor and Santana and Ortiz are in the next group. Billy. They don't call him Pentagon Jr. They called him L0, but then they kept going back to Pentagon. They didn't know. I'll just call him L0. And Ricky Starks and Brian Cage of Team Taz. And then Darby Allin comes in with his skateboard. And then the last group, Sean Spears, Eddie Kingston, Butcher of Butcher and Blade, Sonny Kiss, and Lance Archer. Lance Archer threw out the most people. I'm not going to go through every person got thrown. Oh, and then Matt Sydal was the surprise Joker entrant, came in, and Will Hobbs, who they led in this match for a very long time, and he has to be happy, laid there waiting for that shooting star, and Matt Sydal completely muffed it. It was unfortunately a good foreshadowing of what was going to happen throughout the night, where spots were botched that were crucial, in some cases almost to the worst effect imaginable, meaning someone, almost got seriously hurt. It was rough. It was a battle royal. I hate them all. This one, better than most, our eventual winner, Lance Archer, after fighting off Eddie Kingston and choke slamming him onto a group of people. Lance Archer also threw out the most people at 4. Darby Allin, they definitely gave his moments. He threw out Ray Phoenix and Ricky Starks and was sort of screwed out of being thrown out himself. Brian Cage also threw out 3 people, including Darby. So they made the big guys look good. For sure. Will Hobbs even got to throw somebody out. He got to toss Blade out. And he was part of 2 people who got thrown out at the same time as sort of like a sneak attack from the back. So they definitely went out of their way to make Will Hobbs look good. But Lance Archer threw out the most, so he will get a future title shot. So, notable spots in this match. I guess the most notable is them putting a body bag in the ring and then dumping a bunch of tacks in there and then putting Darby in there and then hoisting him up and throwing him over the top rope when he was in the body bag with tacks all over the place. Yes, that really happened. We get clips of Sammy versus Matt Hardy. And then we went into that match. And so the rules of this match are basically if you can't answer a count of 10. It started off, Matt Hardy's music played, but he went out to the field yelling for Sammy. Sammy showed up in the cart. Revenge. But Sammy does not hit Matt with the cart. They brawl around. They do this. They go to this thing that lifts up. They're going to do this table spot like a DDT thing. Matt Hardy's doesn't hit it clean and hits the back of his head and his shoulder and his back on the concrete. And it's very unnerving. The referee, Aubrey Edwards, made the absolute right call, which is to throw up the X and just stop the fucking thing, which is exactly what they should have done. Matt Hardy continued to try to fight to get up, but he was a mess. Now, for people who want to say, well, this is a work because they've done what, it was terrible. It was scary. It completely took the crowd out of it, as it should. And the fact that the doctor stopped it, and it's okay, that's it. And they're sort of pushing Sammy away. Sammy's doing what he's supposed to do, which is to continue to sell, like, I want to win this match, so count him out. But the referee stops. It's just very ugly and messy. And then they restarted the match, which looked very bad, just so they could get in the last spot. Matt Hardy looked very shaky going up the series of pipes, so Sammy could take a big fall. And so Sammy takes a big fall, but it all just felt awful. It felt unprofessional. I had heard that they had practiced it twice before, and that's all well and good, but it was just such an unnecessarily dangerous spot. The first bump was way worse than the second one. The second one, I mean, it's like falling into the ocean. You're going to hit water, right? It was a huge target and airbags and all the rest of it. But that other fall, which was just basically tables, and the angle where they hit it is exactly what could go wrong. They hit it where the head wasn't landing on. It's bad news, man. And the fact that they continued it made it really weird. And I understood that, if Matt Hardy lost this, then he had to leave. And so he didn't want that to happen. It was just a mess. And the fact that they threw on that Matt Hardy has to quit if he loses stipulation on it anyway was completely unnecessary and stupid. And this was a mess. And it basically killed the crowd until it made the crowd really uncomfortable and awkward until Jericho Orange Cassidy, which was match number 8. And keep in mind, this was match number 4. So then so they showed a package for Shida versus Thunder Rosa. So then Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida are going to have your wrestling match after that. But Shida, quite simply, was not able to keep up with Thunder Rosa. And it really came across as a match that at times looked like they were wrestling underwater. It felt like it was kind of slow motion. It didn't help that the crowd wasn't very much into it. It didn't help that there wasn't a strong face-heel dynamic. Thunder Rosa had great facial expressions and things like that, but at times it felt like it was weird. Like Shida would hit her with big stuff and she would kick out on one near the end of the match. Just, this match felt off. The crowd felt off. Ostensibly, I'm sure there's people who are going to say that match was unbelievably great, but it really wasn't. It was well executed in spots, but it just didn't work. Hikaru Shida eventually wins with a running knee. Alex Marvez is there with Kip and Penelope, and they announce they're going to have their wedding on Dynamite. And then he says, well, you find out who my best man is on Dynamite. So are they going to get married on this Dynamite? Is it going to be wedding on this Dynamite? I guess not. On this one, they're just going to announce who the best man is, and it's a surprise. And what the fuck? Like, who cares? Like, badly done. It just takes away, Penelope Ford, who they'd been building up as like this really great wrestler, and then she lost her title match, and then that's the end? Like, the fuck? And this pay-per-view at this point really took it went down, like it just took a wrong turn, and they were having a hard time getting it back. Dark Order against Natural Nightmares against Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky. It was what it was. They're telling the story of, they want Colt Cabana to be unmerciful, but he wasn't really. At the end, Brody Lee appeared that he had Dustin down and beat. Cabana comes in, misses the moonsault, and then Dustin rolls him up. And Dustin had such good energy during his hot tag that it kind of started bringing the show back with that alone. And then Dustin cuts this great promo, but you could tell they sort of ambushed him with this. He's like, I want Cody to win the title back, blah, blah, blah. And then they go, well, just been announced you're going to get a TNT title shot on Dynamite. You could tell he didn't know this was going to happen, but he immediately changed gears and still cut this really enthusiastic, great promo. Dustin's just a total pro. I was just really impressed with his promo and how he's able to change gears and then put the story and start creating a new story. It's been a long time since I got to fight for gold and I can get revenge for my brother and all this. So he's immediately putting on all this weight on this Dynamite match that he literally just found out about. It's really good. Match number 7, Omega and Hangman Page against FTR. How was this match? It was really good, but when the crowd was completely not into it most of the time, it really takes away. That's the risk reward, right? If you're going to have an actual live crowd, and they're at this point, maybe they're fading because, it's a long show. They're not used to it. The Matt Hardy thing really threw everybody off. And then you had the Hikaru Shida match, which felt very slow in parts and uneven. And then this Dark Order match that just felt of little consequence. One thing about that Dark Order match that was kind of weird was when Brandy got her revenge against Anna Jay. It just felt very sort of forced, where Anna Jay came in, distracted Scorpio Sky, and then just took a kick from Brandy. I guess that's the payback for her choking her out. I don't know. It just felt very uneven. And thank goodness for Dustin Rhodes for carrying that thing energy-wise during his hot tag and in the promo afterwards and the celebration. Big, huge celebration for a roll-up, but he made it work just because he's earnest. And younger guys should learn that. You have to be earnest. You have to show your ass. You have to put it out there. So Omega Hangman against FTR. Of course, the inevitable screw-up happens where Omega hits him with the knee. Spike pile driver, he manages to kick out. The crowd was terrible for this match, just not enthusiastic. Even on the super tricky false finishes, they didn't go for any of it. They just didn't help this match at all. It was a very good match that felt like a really good match in a training session because the crowd was just not into it, or maybe they just didn't pick up the sound or whatever, but the crowd killed this match by not being a presence in it. 2 spike pile drivers later, FTR are your tag champs. Number 8, Jericho's entrance alone started to bring the crowd back because they wanted to sing Judas. But more than that, this match did succeed in feeling like a spectacle match where they had the 2 vats of mimosa on either side. They went over the rules. Alex Marvez talked to Jericho, who seemed really up for having a great, stupid match. And that's exactly what they delivered. Orange Cassidy, I think they learned from their other 2 matches that Jericho is only going to do but so much. And Orange Cassidy did a great job of bouncing around for him and being there for his spots and making Jericho look really good and formidable in this match. And it made for a much more pleasant experience than I was expecting. At the end, Orange Cassidy wins that second Superman punch since Jericho taking a big nasty plunge into the mimosa, and it was satisfying. The spot that felt awkward, but it was what it was when Jericho had Orange Cassidy up for a power bomb and looked like he could easily dump him in, but twists and puts him through one of the little ringside tables. Was strange in that it's a spot for spot's sake instead of just dumping him in the thing, but it's whatever. At the end of the day, I actually kind of enjoyed this match more than their other 2. And the mimosa thing worked perfectly, so Jericho didn't have to get pinned or submitted and could take a big old dive into the mimosa. They promote Full Gear, which is their next pay-per-view. Then we get MJF against Moxley. JR says one of the best things about Moxley I've ever heard, which sort of encapsulates his strength and power as a champion. You love a champion that loves to fight, and our champion loves to fight. Really, really good. How was their match? It was fucking really good. They needed this match to be the best one on the card, and it was, no matter what anybody tries to tell you about the others. The crowd was back into it. MJF bled a gusher. The outcome was actually in doubt. The finish where MJF bobbles the ring when it's handed to him, which leads to the ref who's admonishing Wardlow, which is supposed to lead to Moxley getting punched with the ring hand. But instead, as he picks up the ring, Moxley meets him there, hits him with the DDT he's not supposed to use, and pins him. It was really good, and I'm glad it was. They needed it to be great, and Moxley and MJF did look great. MJF, who has not wrestled a match in a long time, especially like a really competitive match, looked really good, looked like a star, looked like inevitably the future. And Moxley was really great. Whew! There. I covered all of it. Now to send it to you guys. This has been Platinum versus AEW All Out, all the fanfare and pre-show as well. And I'm Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling.